Hello everybody and welcome to the final race of GT Challenge here for Season 4. We're at Indianapolis for this one where we're going to be deciding who are going to be the next 5 GT Pro Series drivers for Season 5 and of course the 5 drivers who are going to be making up the promotion race coming up at the start of next year. It's a very exciting time at the moment and we're very much looking forward to seeing how this fantastic championship plays out. It's been absolutely wonderful so far. We've had some fantastic twists and turns. Spa 2 weeks ago really did turn out a great race as well, or 2 great races I should say. If indeed there was a little bit of drama at the start of the second one, it was a fairly big accident, let's put it that way. Let's hope we don't get any more of that here tonight. We're at a completely different circuit though. It's much slower speed, much trickier I think in terms of the slow speed corners, so a different challenge presenting themselves to the guys here tonight and taking you through the action one final time this season. Myself, you and Illyria alongside Paul Buckley, and Ruben Correa-Alves is behind the cameras once again. Paul, it's been a wonderful season, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we're hoping for a wonderful finale coming up tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it's been a fantastic season so far, and we were saying just before we came on air, like, where has the time gone? It doesn't feel like we're already at the season finale, but yet here we are at the Brickyard, ready to put 2 final races in and find out who's going to be in GT Pro or who's going to be even racing for their chance to go into GT Pro into season 5. And there's a lot of storylines within that, which we'll get into in a little while. Lots of maths going on in the background, bits of paper scattered everywhere and all sorts, trying to figure out what the gaps are and things like that, and it's led to some interesting stories that we'll be able to lead into as we do take a look into qualifying. And for a few of these drivers, it's going to be one of the most important qualifyings of the season, you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to argue with that, really. So yeah, as you can see, we're on the Indianapolis road course right now, not using that chicane with the huge curves that we often see these days. Going for the more old-fashioned, I guess you could say these days, kind of route, and it's not such a 90-degree turn at the end of that straight either, much more flowing through this section, and it goes into, as we're about to see, the final section as well, coming up towards the line. We have one final little bit of a shimmy and a shake just for the final chicane, but as you can see, these guys not fully attacking it right now. And so they're just setting themselves up. Just to update you in case you haven't been with us so far in this championship, we get the top 5 drivers transition straight into GT Pro with no arguments at all, and then the next 5 down to P10 go into a kind of playoff race that's going to be happening at the early part of next year, and then 5 will be promoted basically from that race, and we'll see which 5 that's going to be. So we get I guess you could say a maximum of 10 new drivers, a minimum of 5 in GT Pro next season. But as you can see, we're on board with a 2-time champion right now. It's not exactly going to be debutantes of GT Pro necessarily, but it could be all at the same time. This is the kind of thing we're talking about now on board with Hanyoski, about the slow and medium speed corners. We were talking to our very own Cam Roger, who's here again here tonight, about this particular circuit. So it's going to be a very hard race for everybody. Tyre weight in the feature race is going to be important. That is a lot to come in the future. But slow and medium speed corners, very, very tricky. When you've got this amount of downforce, you can absolutely see where he's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to make the strategy in the feature race a very important thing. As you can see, Husky is absolutely attacking the corners there, almost drifting through there. Trying to get as much lap time as he can. He is one of the drivers as well that we'll be having keen eyes on throughout this race. He's currently sitting in P4, as we'll see when we take a full look at the standings in a little while in the championship so far. And he's not 100% safe in that top 5, which is, of course, as you were saying, the ultimate goal for these guys, the instant promotion. As he just put himself on pole quite nicely for the time being, letting himself in Philip Dreis having set a time. Turk Akinen, one of the drivers that can threaten Yuyovski into that top 5 at the moment. He's already in the top 5 So he too is right on the brink. It's so close, sort of around that 5-6 mark, and also around the top 10 mark is so close going into this race that it's going to be vitally important. Adam Baldwin currently P6, another one of those drivers. So there's lots of names to keep an eye out for as we make our way into the races once qualifying finishes. And we're getting a lot of laps coming in qualifying now, and nobody as of yet has managed to pit Bielski from pole.
No, not for the moment. Two Niter Velek boys just behind him, just under a tenth down. That's Christian Mikel and Turkka Häkkinen as Henry Sinnick makes his way into the pit lane. The famous Radical that made its way inside the top 10 in the feature race at Spa is currently at 17th, with Matthias Weber currently driving that car. Noah Pastorino is the final man who is mathematically in contention to get into the playoff race. He can no longer be automatically promoted, but if he has an absolute stormer, and I think probably needs to win both races, but if indeed he does manage that, then he could find himself inside of the all-important top 10. It's unlikely though. However, don't let that detract from the fight that we do have, because there's so many drivers who are actually in contention. Johan Kurjan is in 19th in the standings right now going into this race, but he's only 14 points below the cut line for the top 10. So that just gives you an idea of what it's like. Remy Delorme right now just in 11th position. He's actually tied with Daniel Stepalski on that cut-off line. So all of these guys being just exceptionally close to actually getting into the playoff race. And of course, it's one thing making it there, but it's another thing making it through that race and getting yourself into GT Pro from that. So yes, very difficult indeed from that point. As these guys go over the line, both of the BHK guys, Delorme managed to get himself inside the top 10. Fabien Bolle wasn't quite able to as he crossed the line, as well as we see Andrea Bettini as well, a man I don't believe we've seen in the top split so far this season, but here he is right now, 16th position for him at the moment. It's the usual suspects up at the front though: Yoski, Mikel, Häkkinen, Nisula, Drace. Those five are actually the top 5 in the championship as well, which is very fitting indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see, actually, touching back on that. There's a couple of names we've not seen so far. So we're seeing sort of drivers that have been down in the lower splits improving and getting the chance to race alongside the likes of Nijovski and Christian Mikel and Turkka Häkkinen. It's only going to be great experience for them as well going forwards as we start looking towards season 5. The fact that even if it was just for one race in this season, they were up there in the top split racing with these guys. And just from that outside perspective, you can learn a lot that they can take forwards as Yoski, again, absolutely attacking, but he's not quite improving so far on this lap. He's still just about on pole position at the minute. There is less than a tenth separating himself all the way down to P3 though. So it is very, very tight at the top between himself and the Seatra's Niter Velek cars as Philip Race fails out of a lap from P5. But I think everybody at this point has pretty much set a lap time, so we've got one in the bag, and now it's going to be a case of how much can we improve in the remaining 8 minutes.
For Hanioski, that is ever so slightly, yes, as he goes slightly faster to put himself even further out in front of this man, Christian Mikel, right now, who has a 41-point cushion over Adam Baldwin. Why is that important? Well, it means he's got 41 points advantage in terms of getting into that all-important top 5. So he's looking very good. Turkka Häkkinen, the pressure is certainly on, but he's rising to it at the moment as he breaks just before the line. Christian Mikel looks like he's going to go just that little bit faster, and he does indeed. I have calculated, by the way, that a top 4, even in the sprint race, would guarantee Christian Mikel a place in GT Pro for Season 5. So he is in a very strong place at the moment. Adam Baldwin is the one outside of the top 5 looking to try and get into it right now. So he's needs to be a little bit higher than 9th, really, is what I'm trying to say there. So he needs to improve ever so slightly as we go on board with Henry Sinnick, another man who needs to, because he's only 4 points down after all on Daniel Stepalski, which is the all-important position there. So yeah, there's work needs to be done here for Henry Sinnick. It looks like he is improving though, fortunately for him. Yeah,
absolutely. And just to touch on the Baldwin being in P9 isn't ideal for him so far, but from experience we've seen him so far this season, he does at least have very good race pace. So even if he can't quite pull it out in qualifying, don't rule him out either, as Sinnick slots in just behind him in P10. and that will add to the interesting battles list that we've got our eyes on, as Indianapolis is on a flyer of a lap so far. Could be the first person to pick Yovsky in this race, or in this qualifying, sorry. As he crosses over the line at 1:39.94. We lost a bit of time in the final sector,
wipers.
And that is, the
Rain.
wipers are on. Rain is coming down.
Rain is coming down quite heavily as well, looking at the speed of the wipers. Remco Major just about able to improve there, despite taking a small hit in the final sector, but look at this now. Deary me, there's going to be surely no improvements from here. As you can see, Matthias Weber not able to carry the speed that he once was with that car. None of these guys are really able to. So it was a mad dash at the start. It's going to be slightly serene at the end, but rain is hitting the Indianapolis circuit. Let's see if there's any more rain for the race. I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be or not. We haven't had that much wet weather running so far in this season. It really would be a twist in the tail if there was to be some late on in this championship, but it looks like for everybody here this is going to be a huge struggle to get anywhere. Let's just get a bit of an idea here from Weber how much this rain is actually affecting these guys. Doesn't seem that that lap's actually counted, although his wipers have turned off again, so maybe there's still hope with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I mean, if the track didn't take on that much water and can dry out quick enough, then we could still see some very last-minute improvements as the session closes out. But if not, that lap from Jimmy Nischler to slot into P2 alongside Yovsky is going to be vitally important. Having just gotten in there, all the wipers are now off, so it seems it was just a very quick shower. But the likes of Turkka Häkkinen now out on a lap, but not able to improve, nearly a tenth and a half down, as somebody's either given up or had a bit of an off moment through this section of the track. And you can see there through the middle sector, nearly a second lost now for Turkka Häkkinen. So as much as the rain has stopped, the track's still not where it needs to be to see any improvements as the clock ticks down.
It doesn't look like there is going to be improvement from this point. A good drive though from Mattia Krupi for Musto, who's managed to get himself into 5th position here. He's currently 9th place in the standings, 6 points above the cut line here in this one. And the important thing for him is basically we're expecting anyone who's going to be trying to get inside the top 10 here, we're expecting them to get sprint race points, and indeed main race points because everybody does, but sprint race points because the top 15 managed to clinch them. However, if you're able to get inside the top 5, the benefit of that is just a little bit bigger because the gaps between the particular points are 2 points between each position inside the top 5, you see what I mean? From 5th to 6th is 2 points, then it goes down to 1, down to 15th position where the last point is scored. So if you can get yourself inside the top 5, you get more bang for your buck, so to speak. You get more points gain over others for the same amount of position. So Mattia Krupi has done himself a big favour there, as we're having all 4 seasons in one qualifying session here, because the sun is out now like it's a late August day, and all of a sudden the kind of awesome rainfall has gone away very, very suddenly. So maybe there is scope for improvement on the very last lap here. It looks, obviously, it always looks drier than it actually is on rFactor 2, but it looks exceptionally dry at the moment, and it's almost like we've not had rain at all here in this one. So big headache for everybody, and a lot of drama, and it's only the qualifying session in this event. This is a really, really stressful day for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. For one of if not the most important race for the season for all of the drivers, and we're getting all sorts of changeable conditions for short periods of time to just throw that spanner in the works. And just for qualifying is incredible. And we saw chaos last 2 weeks ago, out in Spa, and it's sort of teasing us a little bit that we might end up with a bit of chaos here as well this evening. And the difference being, of course, for these drivers out here right now is that this being the final round of the season cannot be a drop round. So if you have a bad result here, you have to take that bad result for your points tally for the season. Whereas if you were involved in one of those, in that big crash in the feature race at Spa, okay, it's not ideal, but you can get away with not worrying too much, because if you DNF'd and got 0 points, it just becomes a drop round, and you don't really need to worry about that 0 points. If the same happens here, or you find yourself out of position through being caught out in qualifying, and you have to struggle to get through the field, you're really going to take the hit from that bad race, which is why we're saying like it's so important to get a good position in qualifying. It's going to be so important to be absolutely on it in the race. And for the likes of Yuyovsky, who's teetering on the brink of that top 5, that pole position is going to be absolutely crucial for him. But not only that, we're taking a look now at Remco Major, who's currently sitting down in P17 on 236 points. P10 is only 246 points. And that it's such a crazy small gap. And he's currently sitting in P8. It's a decent qualifying from Remco Major, so he could still move up as well. And these storylines are just going to build and build as we go. And it's going to be so exciting to watch this event unfold as the weather and the drivers and the tyre wear and everything sort of throws different circumstances at us and gives us a lot to think about as time goes on.
Yeah, these guys have got a lot on their plate at the moment, but it looks like there's going to be no improvements here really. About half of the top 14 are in the pit lane, as you can see on the left hand side of your screen, and there's not many green and purple sectors going on at the bottom right hand side of your screen, which would indicate somebody going quickly. So it does look like the speed has been sucked out of the racetrack, I'm afraid, and it looks like this is going to be our qualifying order for the first race of the evening, the sprint race, which is only 15 minutes long, and it carries still a few points, just over half of the points of the main race, but they're not exactly too difficult to come by if you're looking to get up there in terms of the championship. We believe there's 2 splits tonight as well, so there's going to be participation points as well for this one. So the actual figures that we actually say might be slightly off because we haven't added the participation points for tonight's race. However, the positional points will be correct, and it's very highly unlikely that anybody from Division 2 or Split 2 will be actually jumping up inside the top 10 here tonight, so we can just focus on these guys just for the moment. It's a little bit of a headache, but it all works out in the end, especially with the fact that our drop week, as Paul mentioned a few moments ago, has already been taken. Just to update you on that, Erhan Yuyovsky has certainly been the beneficiary of that, since he has managed to eliminate a 0 from his total at Spa. He managed to get rid of that, so that's helped him out greatly. Christian Mikel had the strongest of the drop rounds, so even if drop round or not, he would still have been absolutely running away with this championship. That's just how good he's been so far this season. And then everybody else very, very similar in terms of what they've been dropping. What I'm interested to see, I have to say, is what Rory McDuff is going to do today. I've not seen him. I can't see him on the left-hand side of the screen. I hope he is here, because he is in a strange position. We'll just run through. We'll run through the order before we get to that. So Erhan Yuyovsky is going to be taking pole position, another pole position here in GT Challenge ahead of Yimi Nisala, who's got the pressure on today, as have all of these guys. Christian Mikel and Turka Hakkinen will be lining up on an all-night of Alex Row 2. Mattia Krupi's done himself a favour getting himself inside the top 5 ahead of Philip Dreas. Zoltan Volking is looking pretty safe right now, to be honest, in terms of getting a top 10. He's in 7th at qualifying. Remco Major, good qualifying from him in 8th. Adam Baldwin will be disappointed with 9th, I'm afraid, and Henry Sinnick might have wanted a little bit more from himself in 10th, but it's not a bad starting position for the Satellite Racing driver, and it makes 4 McLarens in the top 10, as well as 5 Audi, and indeed Remco Major's Bentley, which he has been able to get in there for the qualifying session. This is how we're going to, and the reverse of this is how they're going to line up in the main race coming up after that. These guys have just missed out, I'm afraid, in terms of getting up towards the front in that reverse grid main race. Remy Delorme, Giuseppe Pastore in 12th, then Fabian Balle, Gianluca Scalvini, who was praying for no rain before the evening, but I'm afraid that's not happened here in qualifying. Nello Pastorino 15th for him, Luca Martino 16th ahead of Paolo Penimpede, Andrea Bettini is 18th ahead of Cam Roger, and our man in the radical Matthias Weber, who is in 20th position after qualifying. And in 21st we have Correa, then Pricaril in 22nd, and Nicola Pastore in 23rd position. It is indeed Nicola Pastore, 23rd position for him, having not set a time in that particular session. So plenty of stuff going on in that session there. Implications for the championship. One thing I have noticed, no Rory McDuff here today, and he was in an interesting position because he is 32 points above 10th position. I wonder if he thinks he's safe, maybe, but even if he doesn't come here at all, he's not getting any participation points, so after looking pretty safe for a playoff race, he might not be able to make it at all after not attending this event by the looks of things.
Yeah, absolutely, and that could be an absolute blessing for the likes of Remy Delorme, who's currently sitting tied with Stokowski down in P11, P10 sort of territory. So all Delorme needs to do is outscore him by that 30 odd points, and that's a promotion race for Delorme, and McDuff won't be joining his teammates. As we take a look at confirmation on the calendar, this is the final round, and it doesn't feel like it's been that length of time already with these races, but here we are in Indianapolis. We've visited some interesting tracks through the season. We've been to America early on, and now we're back again to close out the season. And if my memory serves me, it was a bit rainy when we were in America the last time as well, over at Sebring, and that led to some interesting moments, particularly from Yehowski at the end of the race, almost drifting around the final corner. So if the weather keeps teasing us the way it was in qualifying, we could see some interesting conditions coming out again at an American race for the second time this season.
We might well do. It was a last lap kind of dash to the line as well, I seem to remember, in the feature race. So let's hope for some more drama like that. This is what we are talking about in terms of the championship. So top 5, as you know, get promoted automatically. Next 5 go into the playoff race. This is the championship picture. Drop rounds are already sorted with, signed and sealed, so that's all clear in the clear now. What I can tell you is that Christian Mikel is guaranteed at least a playoff race in this one. Nobody else is really guaranteed anything apart from the guys who are guaranteed not to be able to get either here at this point. And I believe Philip Drace is very close. All the other guys pretty much are very close themselves to getting into the playoff race. I'll clarify, but most of the top 6 are guaranteed at least a playoff race, and in all likelihood they will be there. So it's basically about which 5 of those are going to be getting the automatic spots, as opposed to going into the kind of randomness of a playoff race. But behind is where it's very interesting indeed. Roy McDuff not attending for the moment, not seeing him, not seeing Daniel Stopalski either, so he's going to drop outside the top 10. Not seeing Daniele Canestrazzi, Paul August Lahn, haven't seen David Coloxai or indeed Giuseppe Pastore. I don't remember seeing Johan Curzon either, but he might be here. I can't exactly remember, but anybody not turning up tonight, that is going to be really hurtful, and they're basically going to be out of the top 10. You know, that it's over if they're not here tonight. You've got to at least attend and pick up solid points if you're in those kind of positions, and I believe if you do that, then a lot of these guys are going to be getting inside the top 10, so a calm and considered race is what's needed for most of the guys on your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for a lot of the guys sort of in the bottom 10, sort of 10 to positions 20 in the championship, a lot of their thoughts need to be on they need a solid race, and a good race at that, for some of them to be able to get into that top 10, but how hard do they push, and how much do they play safe and play conservatively to ensure that they do at least get points in this one? Because it's all very well and good for someone like we've got Coloxai, Major, Pastore, Curzon, all of those guys at the bottom end. They could push like absolute hell and get really far up the grid, but then if they make a mistake from pushing too hard, they could lose everything and lose out on that chance. And that's going to be in the mind of every single driver going into this. It's not just about scoring the points. You've got to make it to the end to actually bank those points. So it's going to be very interesting to see who's willing to take the bigger risks as the race goes on, and we take another look a little bit further down the championship to positions 25 to 45. I believe even mathematically none of these guys are anywhere close to being able to get into the top 10, but they do still get the chance to fight for some glory throughout the races. and finish as high up as they can. This is the main fight that we're looking at. Just how close all the points are. As we take one final look this season at the format. We've had the 15-minute qualifying, and we're now getting ready for the 15-minute sprint race in the order of the qualifying results. And then, as you said earlier on, the 45-minute main race will have the top 10 from qualifying reversed. Of course, this is open for everybody with multiple splits going on all the time, with all 13 different GT3 cars to choose from as well. And we have seen some variants in the GT3 cars throughout the season so far, which is very nice to see, and even the Radical popping up at the end, which I very much enjoy. And we can finally also update on the bonus prize pool. We've been saying we'll find out later on throughout the season. Well, later on has come, and we found out the top 3 from the GT Challenge Championship will take home a bit of extra pocket money from all of the mishaps that have been going on in GT Pro that have caused penalties and so on. And that trickled down, as you can see on the screen there. First place driver in the championship will net themselves an extra €300, second place 200, and third place 100. So a little bit extra incentive for those top 3 as well going into this race.
Yeah, it's looking like Christian Michel's first place, let's be honest, but second place is certainly up for grabs with 13 points covering those 5 drivers. But I think they'll have the automatic promotion spot on the mind a little bit more to the fore than the money, but obviously the money's nice as well, and it may come as kind of collateral damage to a charge for the top 5. It might come anyway, so let's wait and see on that one. But we got the race to get into before that all happens. The splits have been sorted from the performances in rounds 4 and 5, so what you're seeing right now is the 23 best cars from the previous 2 rounds. And we've already explained the GT Pro kind of implications, who gets promoted and who has been relegated from GT Pro here in Season 5. That's already all decided, and we've been through that already. We'll no doubt go through it again here tonight because it is so important and integral basically to what is going to be a very interesting night of racing indeed. So make sure you stick around. We've very much enjoyed your company so far this season. It's been fantastic having everyone along watching on, and I hope you've enjoyed the season as much as we have, and I hope you're looking forward to Season 5 as well. All the information that we have at the moment is that it is happening next calendar year. It will be happening at some point. I can't really release any details further than that, not because I know and I'm not allowed to tell you, but simply because I don't know. So there we are. We'll obviously keep an eye out on the social media platforms, and you'll find out as well. But yeah, it's all coming next year, so make sure you look out for it. It's going to be fantastic as always, as it always is here on rFactor 2. So just about an hour of racing for these guys to go. 15 minutes of a sprint race, 45 minutes of a feature race here to go. The implications for this one is that basically if Christian Michel finishes inside the top 4, he is going to become a GT Pro driver with still 1 race in the championship still to go. That just shows how good he's been this season. It's not like he's been completely dominant. He's not been running away from everybody every single race. He's been challenged every single race. However, he has not. Nobody's been able to keep the consistency that he's been able to all throughout this season.
No, that's absolutely it. Consistency is the key. We were coming into this season thinking, oh well, Yoski's 2-time GT Pro champion. He's going to absolutely walk away with this one. But he's lacked that consistency that Christian Michel has brought to the table, and it shows in the points. And Fabian Barlett is getting it all wrong. He was a bit slidey earlier on in the lap, and continued to slide, almost trying to drift every single corner and just getting a little bit on the grass. Get that all out of the system now before we get into the race. It's always a clever plan. Learn your limits before you start racing your rivals on the road. But no, as I was saying, we were expecting Yoski to run away, and he hasn't. And there has been that fight going on, and Michel brought the consistency to the table that's allowed him to lead, but he also hasn't really run away with it, as you say. And it has led to this really interesting battle we've got going on towards the end of things. With just 2 races to go, who knows Mikel looking likely to take away the championship win, but it's not a guarantee. Nothing's guaranteed. It'll be very interesting to watch.
Well, indeed, he's got a 28 point championship lead at the moment, I should say. So he certainly has to finish inside the top 7 or 8 or so to have a chance of being crowned champion at the end of this race. And he could well clinch it in the next race. Let's wait and see. But for now, let's run through the starting grid for the penultimate time in Season 4 of GT Challenge. It's Erhan Yoski who will be alongside Jimmy Nisela running into Turn 1, then the two Nitro Velix cars 3rd and 4th. Mattia Krupi is alongside Philip Dreis in 5th and 6th. Dalton Varkingi 7th, nearly matching his championship position, ahead of Remco Major in the top 8. Then it's Adam Baldwin and Henry Cynic rounding out your top 10. Remy Delorme does match his championship position in 11th, ahead of Giuseppe Pastore in 12th. Then we've got Fabian Barley and Gianluca Scalvini, who's really been making a name for himself in the last couple of races. Nello Pastorino rounds up the top 15, ahead of Arms Sim Racing's Luca Martino in the Ferrari. Another Ferrari behind that, it's Paolo Penimpede, then Andrea Bettini in the Audi. Cam Roger, likewise, 19th. And then the famous radical of Matthias Weber rounding out the top 20. Manuel Correa, Roman Prigel, and also Nicola Pastore round out your 23 car grid for the penultimate race here in GT Challenge for Season 4. Just 60 minutes of racing to go until we know who the first 5 of the next GT Pro drivers are going to be. We've got about half a lap before it all kicks off again, and we've got a familiar face at the front of the field. Two-time GT Pro Series champion Erhan Yoski, who has been strong all season, really. Let's face it, 11 race wins in GT Pro and Challenge competition since it started out, looking to make that 12 in this race in his push to get inside that top 5, with Adam Baldwin, the man we're on board with right now, so far down the order, nearly outside the top 10 after qualifying, and it's looking likely that those guys are going to be able to do it. But as we've seen, he's good in the race, is Baldwin, and you can never really write him off. You can't write any of these guys off, so he's got to be attentive right until the end. The top 4 on the order right now are all in the top 5 in the championship, which makes it a very fitting way to start off the end of Season 4 of GT Challenge. Audi versus McLaren on front, as we've seen so many times so far this season, and as we've seen already, Erhan Yoski is going to lead the field to green here at Indianapolis. Nitro Velix making a fantastic 2-car surge up the middle at the moment, with Christian Mikel trying to get up down the inside. They all fan out 3 and possibly 4 wide. Further in the background, it's Yoski who's got the lead into turn 1. Michel on his inside. They battle side by side, but it's Yoski who takes the lead through turn 1 and 2. Christian Mikel is next ahead of Jimmy Nisela. Mattia Krupi, good start from him as Turka Hakkinen is pushed down to 5th position. And Philip Dreis is not giving up just yet. He's on the outside line of the Audi we're on board with right now, but can't quite make it work. It's a clean start for all of the leaders, and a very good start for Mattia Krupi, looking at that 4th place for the Italian.
Yeah, and that 4th place could be absolutely crucial come the end of this one to see where we're looking championship-wise. There'll be a lot of maths, of course, coming out later on, but now Yoski leading them away, as we've seen so many times in the past. Got himself a nice little buffer already, but the rest of the pack behind are running very, very close. Jimmy Nisela almost right on the back of Christian Mikel. As we take a look back at Henry Cynic, I saw from the timing tower, Adam Baldwin lost the position to Cynic at the start of this race, and they were battling for most of the first lap, but now it seems Adam Baldwin's dropped back a little bit, and that's important. He's the first driver at the moment in that relegation rather than automatic promotion slot. As we take a look at Zoltan Varkny and Remco Major going side by side now, Big Bentley and the little nippy Audi, and you can see in the background that's Cynic sniffing away at the heels of this one, looking for an opportunity to get past Major, just pulling along up the inside for the time being, but he's not completely clear yet. It would give him the inside line from turn 1 though. A Cynic using the draft all the way down the main straight, right on the back of the Bentley as well now. Major having to defend even more to the inside as he was. It's almost 3 wide into there. Now Adam Baldwin trying to look up the inside as well. So this 2-car battle became a 4-car battle. There's a contact with Cynic and Varkny and just holding on for now. But Cynic losing so many places there, Varkny. That's Cynic, Baldwin, Pastore all going through. luckily just about keeps it on the road.
Maybe Delorme as well. He's on the inside line for the moment, but can't make his way through. Well, I'll say that. Bumps into the side of the Hungarian trying to get through, and now Gianluca Scalvini is going to try his luck. Not quite able to do it on the outside line there of Remy Delorme through turns 6 as they go. So, and the straight again into this flowing left-hander, much more flowing than it otherwise would be on other layouts, but Belton Varking, he just needs to play it clever here. Technically, he is 7th place in this championship. He's not going to be able to get an automatic promotion spot. Not that it's impossible, but it's unlikely at this stage. He just needs to make sure he is in that playoff race, and as long as he keeps still on the road and picks up a few points here and there, then he will be okay. So he doesn't need to get involved in battles like that. These guys ideally do, though, because they're all fighting over positions. Yumi Nisula at the moment is putting himself out in front of Adam Baldwin in terms of those points, but you just want to finish inside the top 3 and earn that little bit of extra money that will come with it. 300 euros for first position, 200 for second, and 100 for third. As we go a little bit further back to the battling that's going on down the field, this is Giuseppe Pastore, I believe, who's not had a good start at all. For a man who needs to make up 12 points on his rivals to get inside that top 10, it's not the place he wants to be.
I believe this is actually Nicola Pastore. Giuseppe's up in P10 at the moment, if memory serves from the qualifying positions. But nonetheless, those two do have a little battle going on between the two of them. Of course, sharing the same name and the same team does make them quite difficult to identify on the circuit. But nonetheless, Nicola Pastore looking to improve and get past the Radical. Like he was leaving the door open a little bit there, and Nicola was already on it. But not quite able to get the move done just yet. It's impressive from Weber just how well he's able to keep that Radical ahead of everybody else. As we take another look back towards the lead battle now, Christian Michael still holding on to P2 at the moment with Jimmy Nisha just behind, chasing after him. But Nujovski is absolutely running away already in this race. Just 5 minutes gone. He's got over a second and a half gap as we take a look at a replay of the start.
Yeah, Philip Dress a little bit slow to react on that one, and on the outside line anyway, was going to struggle. This is what went down in front of him though, and it was very intense really. Mattia Krupi, you can see, was in 3rd place for a brief time as Jimmy Nisula looked like he was going to have a disaster here, but he actually hung it tough on the outside very well indeed, and you see it all funnels down here, and he was able to just keep a flowing line around the outside really. Krupi gave him a lot of room as well, which obviously helped. This is Drace getting his elbows out as well. On the outside line of Hakkinen, this is a little bit of a bump there, but after all, this is GT racing, so it's to be expected at this point as they go into the long left-hander. Then he kind of settled for 6th position that he ended up being in, so it's not a bad stop for Philip Drace. Look at this, Matthias Weber anticipating the start wonderfully there, and he's on the outside line already of Andrea Bettini, that was. And you can see Luca Martino's just in front, Nello Pastorino on the right-hand side as the Radicals making hay on the outside line right now. Let's see how physical this was in the middle of the pack, because it's famous for opening lap incidents really, the Indianapolis circuit, and back to when F1 came here, and it looked like a very well civilised start from everybody, so props to everybody for getting through there all nice and cleanly. Yeah, there's still a long way to go in this one, and of course most of the points are going to be awarded in the main race as well, so you can see why everybody was so cautious.
Yeah, absolutely, and points are so important here. It is that risk reward way up that goes on in every driver's mind throughout the race. It's really heavily weighted towards the one side, really, in the final race of the season when it's as close as it is. As this is Zoltan Varkny chasing on after Giuseppe Pastore, who's still sitting around in P10. And it's everybody's sort of settling down for now and working their way into the race a little bit, as we've got coming up on the halfway point, just over 8 minutes of the race to go, and there's some battles brewing, but nobody's wanting to take the risk and absolute charge at it just yet. They want to get the feel of their rivals and calculate each move to remove as much risk as possible, which might be the smart way to go in the main race. But with 8 minutes left of this sprint race, I'd want to be taking as many positions as possible. Not only because it's more points, but because it looks a lot more fun. And is a lot more fun.
These guys. Sorry, yeah, these guys taking it seriously, obviously. But obviously, hopefully having fun all at the same time. Adam Baldwin, by the way, I just worked out, is going to be 9 points below the top 5 cut-off line if things stay as they are. He's losing 7 points on the road right now to Turkka Häkkinen, who would remain in 5th position, to my knowledge anyway. So that is becoming a bit of a problem for Baldwin, who needs to certainly gain a few points. Zoltan Varkey doesn't really, but Giuseppe Pastore does want to hold on to this one so he can have 6 points for 10th position here. Varkey in a very safe place in terms of that top 10, so he doesn't need to worry about it too much, but he would like the positions anyway, you can be sure, and doesn't really want to be around Remy Delorme and Giuseppe Pastore, when they get together, because they are going to be fighting very hard. And indeed Scalvini behind him, to be fair, because they're all in that little fight that is going on. You can see just in front, though, Baldwin is certainly applying the pressure. The longer this goes on, though, the more likely, and I think it is already pretty much set, that the best Baldwin's going to get here is 8th position, in which case the best he's going to be is only 8 points behind Turkka Häkkinen going into the final race. And considering how many points are between each position, it's mainly 1 really, that's going to be a problem for Baldwin heading into the final races. As we look at a moment going on a few laps ago, well, this is quite a long time ago now, if you remember that 4-car battle, this is how he got through on Varkey. Was that particularly illegal from anybody? I think it was just a little bit of hard racing really, and an unfortunate moment for Zoltan Varkey.
Yeah, absolutely, and Adam Baldwin stealing the positions away, and as you were saying, while you were talking just there, we could see the pressure that Baldwin's applying currently on Cynic. He really ran out of road, trying to get as much power down as he could with Cynic, and I thought it was going to give Baldwin a chance into the next corner, but given the way this track is around that section of the track, he wasn't quite able to close the gap quick enough. But that gap is still coming down slowly but surely, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before Adam Baldwin starts looking to make a move. With 5.5 minutes left of this race, every point being as precious as it is, it's going to come right down to the wire between these two, of course, both in the same car. And could it be now? Adam Baldwin diving to the outside as we head down towards turn 1. And if he can hang it out there, it'll give him the inside for turn 2, which he does, and takes the position. So there we go. It was brewing for a while, and there it goes.
You just saw there, gently edged the Estonian onto that curb on the right hand side there, and ruined his momentum a little bit for the satellite racing driver. So there you have it. That's 1 position for Baldwin, and now he's only 8 points on the road below the cut-off line for the top 5 of automatic promotion slots. And of course, it's not over for him if he doesn't get that, but he would of course like to. Cynic likewise is in a battle for the top 10. Coming in today, he was 14th in the championship standings, but only 4 points down on Daniel Stepalski, who was in that 10th place, and a lot of sliding going on. We mentioned Cam Rogers telling us earlier that tyre wear is going to be a problem in the feature race. You can absolutely see why, because this is going to be building a whole load of temperature. These slow and medium speed corners, these guys having to drift around to get the most performance out. So you can absolutely see why that's going to be a problem in the next race.
Yeah, it really, really is. And if these guys are battling super hard as well for the positions in that race, especially with the likes of course, with the top 10 being reversed from the start of the race as well. So we'll have the likes of Jurovsky, Mikhail, Nizhila, Krupi all battling their way up from the back end of the top 10 rather than just running away, as Jurovsky seems to have done from the front this time round. That's going to add that extra little bit to it, because they'll have to use the tyres to try and get those positions made up, and it could lead to some very different situations towards the end of the race regarding who's going to have looked after their tyres and who's going to have burned them getting to where they were.
Yeah, Aidan was asking for a bit of footage of Cam Roger there, and we had a brief on board with him there. So 16th position at the moment. Cam is technically in contention for a top 10, by the way, but it's not going to happen by the looks of things, as we might have expected, and he would happily admit that as well, by the way. But these guys, much more of an intense fight for them. Remy Delorme, I guess, is 9th place in the championship on the road at the moment, considering a couple of drivers in front of him have not attended this particular race, the all-important finale. So He is going to be jumping up there and getting himself into the playoffs. This man might be as well. Remco Majeur started 17th, but 10 points behind, and currently 7th place in this race, picking up 9 points. And it's 9 points that some of his rivals won't be having any of. So he's taking a big step forward right now in the big Bentley, and might even be able to take some points off of Philippe Drace here and add to his own tally. It doesn't look like he will be doing that for the moment. He's just going to sit where he is. But either way, even 7th place for Remco Majeur here is a success in the sprint race.
Yeah, absolutely, and it eases a little bit of the pressure going into the main race. There will, of course, still be feeling pressure going into the main race, needing to secure a decent haul of points to hold on to the position that he's going to inherit here from following the sprint. But it does relieve the pressure as that's a bit of contact there as we take a look. That was Scalvini and Cam Roger getting a little bit too close for comfort around the first couple of corners, and Scalvini comes off the worst of it. Cam Roger still just holding on to 16th for now. As we got a great shot from that on board of Nicola Pastore, who's closed right in on Cam Roger, it has to be said, through this section of the track. So could see some more defensive driving coming out from the Burst Esports man in a minute.
He's going to have to.
Yeah, Pastore all over the back, diving up towards the inside now as a side-by-side. Cam's just able to shut the door there for the time being. But Pastore's going to keep applying the pressure.
He is indeed. It's not a corner we often see overtaking on this particular layout, but it nearly happened just there. I believe the next lap is going to be the final one here for Erhan Yoski, as we've got just a minute to go. It could well be the very last lap of the sprint race. We go on board with Remco Majeur. Final time coming down towards turn number 1, which is arguably the best overtaking opportunity of them all on this circuit. So very much an opportunity here, but late on the brakes and gets into the back of Drace. Goodness me, that could have ended in tears for everybody, and the McLaren just slides its way through turn 2. Into 3 they go, and it's all going to be at single file behind by the looks of things. Nicola Pastore recovering from last on the grid here in this race to possibly finish 17th. But let's see what happened to Gianluca Scalvini here. You can see Cam just in front. Does he stick his nose in where it was unwanted, or is that the Audi turning across at Scalvini there? I guess those questions remain to be seen, but Scalvini is certainly not going to be enjoying that one since he's in the championship fight, as we have mentioned before. Philippe Drace defends again from Remco Majeur as they go into the final couple of corners. The time has elapsed in the sprint race, and it's going to be Erhan Yoski, as we might have predicted, taking another race win. His 12th GT Pro or GT Challenge competition. He's been fantastic this season when he's been on form. He's had a couple of races where he has been off it, but not very many, and this certainly wasn't one of them. Erhan Yoski through the final corner. He's going to win the sprint race at Indianapolis. Another 20 points added to his name, and another step forward to becoming a GT Pro driver here in the next season. Christian Mikel is dropping down the order at a vast rates of knots there to drop behind Turkka Häkkinen to help his teammate. A very interesting development. Yumi Nissan is going to be second. Mattia Krupi delighted with third, but Turkka Häkkinen is given an extra 2 points by his teammate Christian Mikel to help the situation over Adam Baldwin, because Christian Mikel, after all, knows that he is going to be promoted. He's not confirmed it with that particular race, although he's very close to doing so. We'll do the maths in a second, but a very interesting bit of team play from Christian Mikel to let his teammate through on the line and give him an extra couple of points.
Yeah, that could be absolutely crucial come the end of the feature race, given how tight it is in the top 5. As we take a look at this was Turkka Häkkinen's view of it, seeing his teammate slowing down, pulling across to the inside. Thank you very much, mate, for the points. But it's not something, honestly, I as much as you think, oh, you would expect that, I wasn't expecting that. But there we go, there is the confirmed results of this race. Nijovski with what has to be said a dominant race win in the sprint race ahead of Yumi Nishiza and Mattia Krupi, who inherited their positions as well from Christian Mikel, donating some points to his teammate Turkka Häkkinen, who finished 4th. Then it was Christian Mikel down in 5th, all but guaranteeing a place in GT Pro with that finish. Philip Dryce finished P6, just ahead of Remco Major and Adam Baldwin, with Henry Sinnick finishing P9 and Giuseppe Pastore rounding out the top 10. And then we'll take a look at the 11th to 12th. So 11th, Zoltan Varkany with Remy Delorme just behind. Milo Pastorino finishes in P13 at the end, but I believe I saw him pick up a penalty towards the end of the race as well. So he may have finished slightly higher up on the road, but does have to set off a 13th once the flag dropped. 13th is Luca Martino ahead of Paolo Penampede and Nicola Pastore in P15, just ahead of Cam Rogers. So Nicola Pastore able to get that move done in the end. Fabian Bolla 17th ahead of the Radical of Matthias Weber in 18th, and Gianluca Scalvini, who we saw tangling with Cam Roger, manages to collect it back together and finish 19th ahead of Andrea Bettini, Roman Prickerill and Manuel Correa rounding out the field. But that is one of the final 2 races of the season to go. We are now left with just one race between where we are now and finding out who is going to be a GT Pro driver in Season 5. So stay tuned to make sure to not miss that one. 45-minute main race coming up very shortly. You can see lots of frantic maths going on with Ewan in the background trying to tot up the championship scores with the finishing positions. And we will shortly have the warm-up as we take another look at the racing format. So for the final round, we've had the qualifying, we've had the 15-minute sprint. We are now just a 45-minute main race away from concluding the Season 4 of GT Challenge. And then, of course, we've got that bonus prize pool as well. First place, second place and third place will take home some extra pocket money for their championship positions with the money that's trickled down from GT Pro penalties. And that will be something we'll be keeping an eye on as well. But the main focus, of course, will be who manages to get into the auto promotion, who manages to make it into the promotion relegation race. There's so much to keep an eye out for, and so many different things to watch for, so many different drivers involved in all of these battles as well. It's going to be an incredible final 45-minute race of the season coming up very shortly.
Yeah, it is indeed. I have been doing the maths, and I've been working out who's in the top 5, who's where, so on and so forth. So, Christian Mikel is confirmed as being a GT Pro driver for Season 5. I can confirm that now because he has a 45-point gap over Adam Baldwin. Wasn't expecting him to be able to clinch that actually with a 5th place. However, Baldwin being so far down actually ended up making that possible for him. He's got a 24-point championship lead over Yumi Nisela now, who's in 2nd place. Moves ahead of Philip Dryce, as does Erhan Ioski. So Dryce moves down to 4th place in this championship, just 2 points behind Ioski, and only 5 in front of Hakkinen. It's very, very close, fighting for the money in the top 3 places. Those guys look pretty set, though, in terms of getting into the top 5, because Hakkinen has a 10-point margin over Adam Baldwin. Then in 7th place is Zoltan Varkany, looking very safe for a championship position. Mattia Krupi is in 8th position now. Then we've got Remy Delorme in 9th, and Henry Sinnick, who is making up the final position inside the top 10. He's 4 points in front of Remco Major, who did gain points on him there. Those two are going to be very interesting to watch. Giuseppe Pastore is, having just lost 1 point to him, is now 9 points behind. Then it's Nicola Pastore, who is in 13th position, I think that is. 25 points behind the cut-off line. Fabien Barlet is next after that, 28 points behind. So we've filtered out a few of the guys who are no longer going to be really in contention for a GT Pro, at least a playoff race shot here. However, we've still got, I reckon, 2 pretenders in Remco Major and Giuseppe Pastore, who are on the outside looking in. So that'll be very interesting to see. A very good racer there from Erhan Ioski, and he's been able to do very well in that one to get himself almost promoted and inside the top 3, which is going to be earning him some money. But yeah, a word on that race really after that one, just to kind of sum it all up. It was interesting, but you feel that the guys were kind of waiting around just that little bit for the main race, which holds a few more points for these guys in the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, I had to feel there was a little bit of anticipation in some of the moves we were seeing, and some drivers taking a lot less risks than they perhaps could have done. Maybe because they wanted to sort of just bank the result that they had, bring at least a decent haul of points into the main race, and then go hard into the main race and make up as many positions as possible, which I really hope to see, because it means we're going to get some great on-track racing for the whole of the next 45 minutes. And as we are going through the warm-up now, ahead of the main race, with just 7 minutes of warm-up for everybody to get their final eye in, it's going to be interesting to see going forwards.
It is 7 minutes left of the warm-up session, so we're going to take a little bit of a break from talking, and we're going to let you enjoy the sound of the engines here, and of course the sights and sounds as well of the Indianapolis GP circuit. So you're watching GT Challenge here in Season 4. Hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you enjoy these few onboards from warm-up for the final race of the season. Welcome back to Indianapolis, where the final race of GT Challenge Season 4 is about to get underway. We've got a lot of drivers and not enough places for where they want to be, so that makes it very, very exciting indeed for us. There's also a small chance that weather could play its role throughout this race as well, and of course it's the reverse race, just in case you wanted any other ingredients to add into this already very dangerous and very exciting mixture that we've got going on at the moment. So yeah, I thoroughly hope you are going to enjoy this one. Final 45 minutes of racing in this championship here this season, and it's all to play for. Christian Mikel is almost guaranteed as champion. I think it's very close to being out of mathematical probability actually, but it just needs to complete the next 45 minutes of racing, and he will cross the line as champion, and will have €300 next to his name as well for becoming champion. €200 is going to go to the man who comes in second, which could be any number of 5 drivers really, and then €100 for the driver that comes in third. And these are the protagonists for our final race of the season. A reverse grid, as I mentioned, and Henry Sinnick is going to be on the pole alongside Adam Baldwin. Watch out for him. That's very important indeed to see him so far up ahead of Zoltan Barking and Philip Drace rounding out your first 2 rows. Then it's Mattia Krupi and Turka Hakkinen on the third row, followed by his Nitro Velix teammate Christian Mikel. Yimi Nisler is in 8th position ahead of Erhan Yoski in 9th. Remy Delorme just missed out, who'll start from 10th ahead of Giuseppe Pastore, and then Fabien Barley, who is in 12th position, outside possibility of him getting inside the top 10, but it is unlikely, as it is for Scalvini, who is 8 points below the cut-off line. He could do something here in this race ahead of Nilo Pastorino, Luca Martino, and indeed Paolo Penimpede, both in Ferraris. Then we've got Andrea Bettini and Cam Roger in the Audis, followed by a radical of Matthias Weber. Manuel Correa in the final of the Ferraris round out your top 20. And the final 2 cars on your grid, Roman Prequiril and also Nicola Pastore, will round out your 22 car grid one final time here in GT Challenge here in Season 4. We have got a driver missing from what we did in the top 10 last time around. Not entirely sure who is missing for the moment, but either way, let's hope that it's not too serious at this point. We do indeed have the top 6, which is very important, and indeed the main challengers for that top 10 position. I believe it might be Remco Majeur actually, which would be really disappointing because he was on. Yeah, it looks like it is, I'm afraid. So he was absolutely on fire in the first race, finishing in 7th position, and so it's going to be no playoff race for him by the looks of things due to his non-attendance in the final race of the championship. Really disappointing to see, but it opens the doors for the likes of Henry Sinnick, who we're on board with right now. He's in control of the field. We're on board with him as we've got an all-McLaren lockout at the front of this field. He hits the gas, and there's already a bit of a touch with him, and I presume Adam Baldwin, who was on the left-hand side of him. It's stacked up the field behind, and my goodness me, have we got a train of cars going towards turn 1. That's an impossible gap that Zoltan Barking is slotting his car into at the moment, but he's gone for it anyway. He's far too late on the brakes. He's going to overshoot the corner by miles, and there's far too many cars trying to fit into a small space here. Back onto the circuit comes Turka Hakkinen, who goes round. Turka Hakkinen's gone around, and that's terrible news for him because he is in championship contention for that top 5. That could be all important as this man, Adam Baldwin, hits the front. It's all of a sudden falling into place for the Juices Motorsports Club driver. Turka Hakkinen with a big spin there. There's still a long way to go in this race, but that is a huge moment.
Absolutely, and not only has he taken himself out with that spin, he also collected Jimmy Nisler, who is also fighting for the top 3 positions. So Yovsky, who's started this race P9, thanks to losing a driver, now all the way up to P7 already, is going to be licking his lips. He started before this in P4 outside the top 3. Now he's going to be looking at taking home some extra money as well as guaranteeing his slot in GT Pro for next season. But somebody who's going to be looking to drive the wheels off their car in this race, Adam Baldwin now leading, as Sinnick's getting ever so close to the back of him once more into that slow right-hander. And Baldwin not running away with it as much as he wanted to for now. Sinnick was caught sleeping a little bit at the start, managed to just hold on for P2 for now. And Sinnick himself's going to be battling away to try and get into the relegation race as well as the laps go in. So it's already getting tense up at the front. But importantly, yeah, we've lost Turka Hakkinen and Jimmy Nishala from the top 10 already.
Goodness me, this is a huge moment, and the fact that Adam Baldwin is leading this race right now, exclamation mark, is also really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of this championship. I'm very surprised though in what Henry Senick is doing right now, because he is second place in this race and he's in the side of the top 10. He would actually overtake Remy Delorme as well, so he's actually ninth in the championship at the moment on the road. Why isn't he tucking in behind and trying to get away from the rest of the contenders in this race who could trouble him later on and eventually push him outside of the top 10 in the championship? He could really do with tucking in my opinion, and it would help everybody, I think. But this is the mess at the start. That's Zoltan Varkey braking far too late. Adam Baldwin brakes too late as well, but it eventually gets him out of this chaos. This is Turka Hakkinen rejoining. Oh, it wasn't a terrible rejoin, but it certainly wasn't textbook. On board with Remy Delorme. This is right in the midst of everything, really. Jimmy Nishala just in front of us here. Turka Hakkinen comes onto the road. Oh, that's close. It's close to working out there. It really is very close to working out, but and this very nearly didn't work out for everybody. Zoltan Varkey, despite being nearly confirmed in the playoff race, is taking all kinds of risks going into turn 1 here, and just decides to drive across the corner in the end. Does indeed manage to get out the other side. This is Turka Hakkinen's rejoin. Is this completely Turka Hakkinen's fault? Or, well, it's not his fault that he has to go across the grass, but could he have done better with that rejoin? Possibly, but he's not done an awful lot wrong there for me.
No, it's tricky with the way the curbs are. You could see them bouncing the car back across the track, and at that point it's very hard to try and put any steering angle in to not go into the side of whoever's coming along the racing line at that point in time. I think he's done just about the best he can at that point, aside from basically stopping to go over the curbs. It is just unfortunate that he's managed to spin out there and collect Jimmy Nishala at the same time, but they're not out of the race. They are still going to be able to come back through. You can see Jimmy Nishala's managed to move, well, still battling away. In fact, Jimmy Nishala was up to 19th, so it's just dropped back down again on that timing tower, but they've got plenty of time left to make their way back up and try and get some more positions and minimise the damage from that incident. We're taking a look now at this battle that is still heating up. Philip Drace has almost managed to get onto the back of Henry Senick now, who's still not letting Adam Baldwin run away either, and he's bringing Mathieu Krupi into this fight as well for a little bit of a 4-car battle for the lead. It does seem a little bit like Senick has heeded your advice though and slotted in and stopped trying to fight for the lead so hard at the time being, but he is still absolutely pushing. You can see there getting a little bit wide on the exit. That's going to cost him a little bit of momentum onto the main straight and heading down towards turn 1.
Bit of a mistake there, really, getting onto the grass through the penultimate corner there, the Estonian, and now Philip Drace, the man who's now in third place in this championship because of the demise for Jimmy Nishala, is looking to move forward even further. Outside line into turn 1 gives him the inside for 2 if he's given the room, and he is, but not much of it. Senick fights him hard for that position, rightly so, as well as the two McLarens do battle into the first sector. Mathieu Krupi in 4th place right now, having a fantastic day at the moment as things stand anyway, sitting nicely inside that playoff race. Just watches on from behind as we watch on, looking behind from the roof of the satellite racing car. Bit of a mistake there again from Senick, but he should get away with it this time. Drace, indeed, as I mentioned, into 3rd place in the championship right now, so €100 is going to be going to him if things stay as they are. But Turka Hakkinen, 19th position. The recovery drive is now upon us. I'm not entirely sure what would happen in a tie-break situation between Baldwin and himself, so just to be on the safe side, he needs to be in the top 5 if Baldwin is going to win this race. And from 19th at the moment, that is a huge mountain to climb for Turka Hakkinen.
Absolutely, it's not outside the realms of possibility, but you've got to say it's looking highly unlikely. He needs some kind of miracle. He makes another little mistake there that gives Drace just another sniff up the inside. And he does need to calm things down a little bit now and settle into a bit of a rhythm, does Henry Senick, or he's going to be losing another place. And see everybody waiting in the wings to try and steal any positions away. But Senick's going to be the first one, as again, Senick having to go defensive as Drace looking to go up the inside, swaps over to the outside, side by side they go once again. Senick defending very hard, leaving in the room. There's contact between the two of them. They just about hold on, but Mathieu Krupi now looking to try and go around the outside of Drace as well. And everybody very lucky to hold on to where they were there.
Goodness me, you do not want to be spinning if you're either of those cars right now. Philip Drace would certainly lose his top 3 in the championship, and Henry Sinnick might lose his place in the top 10 altogether. He's only got 4 points over Remco Major, who unfortunately is not here. He's only got 8 over Scalvini, who's only in 11th at the moment, so it could prove costly. Let's have a little replay of what happened to Turkka Häkkinen here, or what he's been up to anyway, because we've not been seeing very much of this. This was how he gained a couple of positions in one. Nello Pastorino and Manuel Correa going for a bit of contact and a spin together. It looks like the two of them just came together through the long left-hander there. And yeah, I wouldn't really be pointing fingers at either. I can't really work out who was to blame, but Turkka Häkkinen not complaining in the slightest. That is 2 more points to his name. All important points, as we're seeing Christian Mikel down the inside, championship leader, asserting his dominance upon this championship. Up the inside of Zoltan Varkingi, Erhan Yayoski follows his way through, does he? It looks like he's got the inside line through the final corner, and he is going to manage that one. And so Varkingi is dropped down to 7th position. It's not going to matter really for the Hungarian, though. He's kind of stuck in where he is going to be throughout this race as we go on board with him in towards turn 1. Yayoski has to defend just a little bit, but not too much in the end. Certainly not as much as Henry Sinnick is doing at the front of this train. It's all allowing Adam Baldwin to run away with the lead in this race.
Yeah, so we've got not even 10 minutes gone. Adam Baldwin's already managed to pick up a 2.2 second, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. God, look at that gap going up. Such a big gap. And you can see that was another bit of contact there. I think Drace going into the back of Sinnick into the corner there. And Kruby almost following in. So they are really, really nose to tail right now. And you can see the battle scars on the back of the McLaren, driven by Henry Sinnick, as he's really getting his elbows out to hold everybody behind him right now and hold on to the second position as absolutely best he can. But you have to feel it's only going to be a matter of time before he starts losing positions at the moment in this race, the way everybody else is sniffing at his heels.
Krupi just made a big mistake there, and he could be punished for it. Christian Mikel is all over the back of him. And that is not an exaggeration at all. Around the outside possibly, but Krupi is wise to that one. As Philip Drace is going up the inside to the penultimate corner. It's hard to know where to look at the moment because there is so much action going on up and down this field right now. And it's all important as well, of course, as Mikel comes through the final corner right now. And is surely going to be at least applying the pressure here to the Musto GD Esports driver Krupi on the inside line now. Looks like he's going to be okay to hold on, but is he in the end? He's going to, maybe he is. Oh, goodness me, great defending on the inside line through turn 1. Doesn't allow Mikel round the outside through there to get the inside at 2, and that's the best way to defend really through the first chicane. Textbook stuff from him. And he stays in 4th position just for the moment though, but this pressure is certainly mounting upon him.
Yeah, and it's some immense pressure is now up the inside. Christian Mikel, he's got the outside line for the next corner though, so he's not going to be able to, but he's going to get the switch back from the straight, and he's already alongside. And that's side by side we go then, down towards the next corner. Krupi's going to have the inside line. Is he going to be able to hang Mikel out to dry, or is Mikel going to be able to hold on? It looks like he's going to hold on inside line now. Yovski's trying to dive up the inside, which becomes the outside as well. And all 3 of them now still battling Mikel safely through, and there goes Yovski as well. So 2 championship protagonists making their way past Mattia Krupi in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, indeed, and it looks like Krupi's trying to come back at them almost as Sinnick goes wide. So Henry Sinnick's gone wide there, and Trace on the outside line, but not able to hang it around there as Varkingi and Krupi go side by side. These guys have created such a train here that Adam Baldwin's now got a 4-second lead nearly 15 minutes into this race. It is a remarkable battle between all of these drivers as they go in towards turn number 1 again. The Satellite Racing McLaren goes to the inside line, defending from Philip Drace, outside line for him. Oh, and he might well do it. He does indeed. He just gently pushes Sinnick onto that inside curve, destroying his momentum and putting the second position out of reach for him. As we go back to look at a replay of what Turkka Häkkinen has been up to, these points are all important. 1 point per position back here, and the seas are parting for him at the moment. That's another 2 places he's made up without really having to do anything at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Luck is certainly shining on Turkka Häkkinen right now as everybody else seemingly sees him coming and just gets nicely out of the way through their own little incidents. And he will be absolutely enjoying how easy his job is being so far to get back through the field. Still only up in 17th though, so there's a lot of work still to do in the remaining half hour of this race. As now we are going to be able to see, one, how well Henry Sinnick's going to be able to defend from Mikkel and Jovski behind, and two, how much Grace is going to be able to chase down Adam Baldwin in that 4-second lead with the remaining 30 seconds. As now it looks like Mikkel is sizing up Henry Sinnick going into the first corner, and Sinnick's gone wide again, and that's going to let Mikkel through, but he's giving him the room on the inside. He should still hold the position for now though, and now Mikkel with a car in between himself and Jovski.
Our champion in waiting, getting through and onto the podium in the final race of the season. Erhan Jovski, a two-time GT Pro champion, now looking to make his way through on Henry Sinnick. It really is a roll of honour that's passing the famous Estonian at the moment on the outside line, and through goes Jovski. Easily done, really, in that one. Krupi tried to get through there as well. Sinnick needs to remember here that he's beating Scalvini and Pastore, both Pastores, I should say, for that matter. Barley, Pastorino, all of those guys. He is beating them at the moment, and that's all that really matters, despite the fact that losing all these positions is not going to be good. He's still in a good place for that playoff race, which is looking quite unlikely at the start of the day. He's certainly done the work to get up there, though. This is how Krupi was passed by a couple. It was Christian Mikkel on the outside line first, then Erhan Jovski went around the outside not at the same time, but one after the other. That was a very nice sequence indeed, as we also saw Jovski getting through on Sinnick not so long ago. Looking behind from Christian Mikkel, and there is the move. A lot of overtakes been happening in the last few moments, but the motion of Henry Sinnick from that second position has allowed a bit more pace at the front of the field, and Philip Drace all of a sudden is catching Adam Baldwin. There are still twists in the tail in this championship coming up. I can assure you of that. This is not over for Turkka Häkkinen. There is still a chapter to be written here. Although, saying that, Turkka Häkkinen's 16th position still needs to be making more progress. I thought he'd drop down even further, actually, but he's just making steady progress. And here he is on the back of Penin Payday of driving the Ferrari, and he's defending into turn number one. Not great straight line speed for Häkkinen here either, which is really going to be hurting him. I guess he wasn't expecting really to be in this position. He brakes late, but he can't get through, and that lack of straight line speed is really going to damage him in his charge through the field to try and get up to the top 5, basically, which is what he needs.
Yeah, and I can it's not over, as you say. With 30 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time for anything to happen as we take a look at this is just how Turkka Häkkinen got onto the back of Penin Payday and stealing another move from a car, not quite expecting him to be there. So that's, I think I make that 5 positions now he's managed to steal away. As we're seeing a battle, Varkany and Remy Delorme getting very close together there. I thought there was going to be contact. You can see the 2 different TX3 cars following Varkany around for now, but it's Remy Delorme that's all over the back of him at the moment to be head around into the final part of the lap. Looking to go on the outside, there's more contact between the two of them, and it's forced Varkany out wide. That's going to allow Delorme around the outside, and is Barley going to follow through as well? Is Delorme even going to get the push done? It looks like he will now be inside into the final corner. There's no love lost between those two right now, and it is a bit of a sandwich going on with Delorme and Barley with the purple of sort of Varkany in the middle. And Varkany coming back at Delorme now into turn 1, looking up the inside later on the brakes. Manages to sling it up the inside, but it gives him the outside line for now. If he can hold on to it, he might still have a chance, but no, he has to settle back in behind. But he's definitely not given that position up just yet.
Delorme just going out wide there. Varkany sticks his nose down the inside again as Scalvini in the background there trying to get inside the top 10 as Varkany goes wide, and Fabien Barley is going to get through now. They dive into 6 and they're leaning on each other through the corner there. The Bentley will not take the no for an answer though, and it looks like Barley is going to make his way into 8th position from Vaki, who just continues to fall back, and he was kind of doing a similar thing in the first race, really. He will be safe in terms of the championship because, one of Pastore or Scalvini or somebody like that needs to win the race, really, for anything strange to happen, and currently they're not doing so. However, Vaki does at least want a good end to this season, as we go up to 3 guys who are more than likely going to be in GT Pro in Season 5, because they've been dominating all throughout. This is Matej Krupi getting through on Henry Sinnick, and it was just a bit of a late braking around the outside, inside for turn 2 kind of manoeuvre. Sinnick was not giving up easily, but he eventually had to, and 6th position for him will be good enough because Scalvini is still stuck in traffic. He's 8 points behind Sinnick coming into this one. He basically needs to beat him by 8 positions. Currently he's 5 positions behind him, so at the moment it's looking very good for Sinnick, and Scalvini is certainly, well, the chances of him being in the playoff races are diminishing lap by lap.
Yeah, slipping away through his fingers as we take another look now at this battle going on for what could well become the lead of the race fairly shortly. You can see how much time they've brought down on Adam Baldwin already. It was a 4-second gap. It's only just over 2.5 seconds, and all 3 of them are still charging along while squabbling between themselves a little bit. The pressure is being mounted by Christian Mikel. I thought he was going to look up the inside of Philip Dreiss there, and he's really applying the pressure now. The 2 Audis bearing down on the McLaren of Philip Dreiss. No movements just yet in terms of positions as we make our way around into the final part of the lap with these 3. Once again, Yudowski, he's already made 1 opportunistic move in this race, which is a very smooth move to keep up with Christian Mikel, and if this battle in front of him keeps going on, there is a chance that he might be able to sneak another one in as well before this race is done.
Here we go. Let's see. Oh my word, there's a lot of weaving going on the straight here, and it could well even be 3 wide coming into turn 1. Let's wait and see. But that McLaren's got good straight line speed, and Christian Mikel is going to have his work cut out trying to get through here. He's going to go for the inside at turn 2 kind of manoeuvre, but he is not going to be able to manage it just for the moment. This is all playing into the hands, though, of Adam Baldwin, who is currently leading this race. Gianluca Scalvini trying to play his way inside the top 10, possibly here by passing Nello Pastorino. Let's wait and see. But this is the all-important fight, and arguably it's not helping Turkka Häkkinen at all. If I was Christian Mikel, I would certainly be trying to, in some way, get these 3 to work together to try and all get through on Adam Baldwin, because obviously he wants his teammate to get promoted with him. Mikel is pretty much confirmed as champion, so he's just trying to do anything he can to help Turkka Häkkinen here. And I think if Mikel's got anything to do about it, then Baldwin will be finishing this race in 4th position. They've got to get to him first, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, Gianluca Scalvini does manage to get his way up into the top 10 with that move on Pastorino. A very nice move, late on the brakes into that corner there, and makes the move stick. And you can see Nello Pastorino still holding on, and maybe looking to try and build up the momentum to take the position back. But for now, Scalvini's safe in top 10. And yeah, just looking at the gaps, as you were saying, realistically, Mikel does need Dreiss himself and Yudowski to work together, because that gap had come down to 2.5 seconds. It's back up to 3 seconds again now. With all the squabbling they're doing, Baldwin's starting to get away again. And I'm not quite sure. I can't see on the timing tower right now where Turkka Häkkinen's managed to get. In fact, there we go. We can see he's up to 15th now. He's managed to get past. Well, he's bringing Jimmy Nisula along with him, and he's got our very own Cam Roger in front. But Jimmy Nisula now trying to take the position from Turkka Häkkinen as well, by the looks of things, down into turn 1. Not able to quite get it done just yet, but all that pressure's still there. These 2 have been glued together since the contact that put them this far back in the grid, pretty much. And Jimmy Nisula had to do a bit more charging to get to where he is, but 15th and 16th for the 2 of them, and a battle brewing is not going to help Turkka Häkkinen as much as the battle that's brewing in front of the grid.
No, this is not helpful whatsoever for Turkka Häkkinen here, who had a 10-point advantage over Adam Baldwin coming into this race. It's not all lost, though, because if Adam Baldwin finishes 4th, and I guess a 13th position might possibly be good enough for Häkkinen, certainly 12th, and that's only just up the road here by a few seconds. We are halfway through this race, but it's not out of the realms of possibility for him to make it there. And we don't quite, well, we're saying it like it's a given that Adam Baldwin's going to be fourth, but you never really know in this one, because I feel like it's going to be a huge fight either way, and it may bring even more drivers in from behind to maybe get involved as well. So let's wait and see. But the early drama here for Häkkinen and Nisler has certainly put them into a difficult position here in this race. And Häkkinen is certainly not going to gain the 11 points he needs to push Nisler out. So it looks like it's going to be a very, very tricky race for everybody from this point. Let's wait and see though. 2.7 seconds is the lead for Baldwin, and this is the fight behind Häkkinen versus Nisler over 15th. Who would have thought that? But he's on the outside line either way, and stern defending from Turkka Häkkinen there. A little bit of contact, but you can tell he does not want the Finnish driver to get through on him whatsoever, and he will do almost anything to keep him behind, as we're seeing right now. We're going to see a replay also of how Häkkinen actually got through on, this is Manuel Correa, it looks like, in one of the Ferraris. So pretty nice move. A little bit of, oh hello, well, a little bit of side-by-side contact running over the grass, and well, might be in a bit of trouble for that if indeed he's deemed at fault.
Yeah, and that's how Nisler got through as well, following in that, and it almost felt like a little bit like you commentated, Curse, the replay there. It was a nice move that then turned a little bit sour in the second part of it. But, everybody managing to hold on for the time being. Turkka Häkkinen and Nisler still holding position at the moment, chasing down Cam Roger. Meanwhile, these three still are now chasing down Adam Baldwin, who started losing time again to these three drivers. And one thing we've not even mentioned yet, we're halfway through the race, over halfway through the race. We've not even touched upon the tyre wear. We mentioned it briefly in qualifying, but with the way these guys are battling, that could play into Adam Baldwin's hands come the end of the race, because we were reliably informed by Cam Roger that this track is it's going to be high on the tyre wear, and with the battling going on as well, that's going to increase that tyre wear by quite a bit. So come the end of the race, as we once again more battling between Turkka Häkkinen and Jimmy Nisler further back, these two are going to be going at it until the end of the race as well, I think. But yeah, come the end of the race, we could be seeing a little bit differing tyre wear going on. Adam Baldwin's almost chilling out in the front of the field at the moment. Meanwhile, these three squabbling away, and Yoski trying to find a way past Christian Mikel now, as he has been for a couple of corners, and that looked like a bit of a drift from Drace as well, which is going to lose him a little bit of momentum.
And at the moment, Yoski's struggling to find a way through as Pastore and Pastorino go battling into the left-hander at turn 8. Nothing doing there for Giuseppe Pastore, who needs to be 10 positions in front of Henry Sinnick by the end of this race if he wants to do anything in terms of getting in the top 10. It's looking pretty safe at those positions around the playoff race, which is what we were so focused on coming into today, and how close it was. In the end, it's turned out not to be that way, and the drama has come in the battle for the automatic promotion slots. Of course, we've got this battle going on in terms of the top 3, because Drace and also Yoyoski are very close. At the moment, Drace is actually getting into second place in this championship, back to where he was at the start of the day, but he's just dropped out of it after the sprint race. So there's a lot of Euros on the line there as well at the end of it all. So let's wait and see how that pans out. As we will with this battle here between Häkkinen and Nisler, it looks like that time, for the first time in a few laps, Nisler had kind of got the idea and fallen into line a little bit by helping them both, but it doesn't really matter what Nisler does at the moment. You know, he's very safe in terms of his position in this championship. He's got a good 11 points over Häkkinen. If he just shadows him to the line, then he should be absolutely fine. So he's just battling for almost a bit of fun, you might say, at this point, and just be praying, or Häkkinen will just be praying that he stays behind as these guys follow each other through the final sector. My goodness me, that is a lot of drifting going on for Philip Drace. Those rear tyres clearly almost out of control. He's going to have to do some defending into turn 1, I'll be bound, and maybe even into this right-hander here. Well, nearly. You see the late braking of Christian Mikel as we go on board with the man at the moment, Adam Baldwin, who with 18 minutes to go is taking himself to GT Pro Season 5. He's getting himself promoted against all the odds after a disappointing sprint race, a disappointing qualifying, after losing so many points, coming in 10 points adrift. He might well just be about to pull off the impossible in just under 20 minutes time, unless these guys have anything to say about it, and specifically Christian Mikel, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you say it was a poor qualifying. You could look at it from the other side of the coin. It was an inspired qualifying by Adam Bolden, put himself on the front row for the sprint race, and more chance at more points. Whether that was his intention or not, I don't think we'll ever know, but it's worked out quite nicely for him nonetheless. As we're taking a look at Henry Sinnick now, who's coming under yet more pressure in this race from Remy Delorme behind him. We've seen it, that was a bit of a slide there, it looked like, as well. And now, as we take another look back at this, look at how close these guys are still, as they are just 2 seconds adrift now of our race leader, but that gap ever changing. And now, still stuck. You have to feel a little bit like Philip Drace is the cork in the bottle of these guys at the moment. That Christian Mikel and Jurowski could be chasing down Baldwin a lot quicker if that McLaren wasn't in front of them. But for now, Drace is doing a great job of keeping them behind. But how long for? Until we get... It's either going to become a three-way fight that's going to see itself out on the track, or they're going to finally catch up to Baldwin in the last 15 minutes, and it'll become a four-way fight for the lead.
Jurowski's got a very good run off of the final corner by the looks of things here, and he could be applying the pressure here to our champion in waiting, but doesn't look like he's going to, just for the moment, as the gap is just 2.1 seconds at the front of this race. Further behind, so it's very nearly a move, Bello Pastorino has retired, I'm afraid, from this race. Clearly had some kind of problem, but he was in front of both Turkka Häkkinen and Jimmy Nisila, so both of those guys have gained an extra point on everybody else, and here they are battling side by side. Nisila on the outside line might about be able to do this finally. Here he is inside for turn 2, and he's got his car down there. Side by side they go still, and they cannot be separated. Häkkinen inside line, late braking from Nisila, and it's still not over. McLaren on the outside line, not able to do it just for the moment. Häkkinen stays in front, but he's only 14th, and he needs to start chasing down some of these guys in front. Cam Rogers not that far in front, neither is Giuseppe Pastore or Luca Martino. He needs to at least overtake those guys if he wants a chance of being automatically promoted, but this kind of stuff is not going to help him at all. You can see Nisila's got no real reason for doing this other than just because he can, and he is right now. It's got to be really frustrating for Häkkinen.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching this great racing between these two, side by side, and meanwhile, Jurowski's gotten past Christian Mikel and up to P3. We saw it briefly there as the camera flicked over. We didn't quite catch the move, but I'm sure Ruben is working away diligently in the background to get us a replay of that as soon as we can. But yeah, Jurowski up to P3, and we're getting all of this battling going on. It's all coming to a head towards the end of the race. This is a replay of what happened to Nello Pastorino, I believe. And that is a spin onto the grass. And perhaps just not wanting to continue from that point. But here we go. And Jurowski, this is how he managed to get past Christian Mikel and down the straight. And Mikel dives across to defend across to the outside, and Jurowski dives into the slipstream from the race and says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that extra bit of speed and use it to get past you." And that's one of the two dispatched already for the two-time GT Pro champion.
Here are the battling pair of Häkkinen and Nisila again. 2 seconds behind Cam Roger at this point, due to their battling basically, because they are catching when they fall into line, as Jurowski now is all over the back of Philip Drace, who's proving quite difficult to overtake at this point. Is McLaren, Audi, your top four at the moment, and they're all in contention for the race win here, you could argue, with less than 15 minutes to go. Jurowski wants to get through as quickly as possible, and might be able to now, as Drace defends again, squeezed up between the wall and the McLaren on the inside of him. Oh, Jurowski has to go out onto the grass, and now it's Christian Mikel's turn to give Philip Drace a hard time. This is turning into a very physical battle indeed, and of course Drace is fighting for that second position with Jurowski. It's €100 on the line in that move right there, which is why things are getting so aggressive. Christian Mikel looks like he's going to be grabbing the 300 at the front, but It's all about points for him, you would say, for his teammate Turkhagen. This is the onboard move from Yoski. Very, very stern defending from Drace there, and not really giving Yoski much room at all there.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what different people's views of that are going to be, because it did look a little cheeky from Philip Drace. It looked like he opened the steering wheel a bit on the exit just to force Yoski off the road, as that is a bit of a dive for Cynic there, putting him out wide and allowing Delorme back up the inside. And Bono's going to get joined into this battle as well. Cynic's still trying to get back up the inside now, can't quite get it done, but Bono with that was a very opportunistic move, and yeah, you feel the contact with that, with the big Bentley slamming into the side of you, but just both of them holding on for now, side by side, down the straight we go. Fabian Boller still just about holding on to the move, but he's going to be on the outside. Who's going to be later on the brakes? We've seen him pass the Bentley, can be good on the brakes, but not this time. Cynic holds the position for the time being. But meanwhile,
Onisler, is he going to go for it? No, not yet. I say not yet. He's been going for it in the past. As Cam Rogers actually catching up to Pastore and Martino, which might actually help the two we were watching battle there a few moments ago. 12 minutes to go, and Adam Baldwin seeing the time tick down, and he's not seeing his lead come down very much here at all. So by the minute, things are looking better for the Juices Motorsport Club driver, and he could be seeing himself into GT Pro almost against all odds at the start of the day. Let's see though, there's still a fair amount of racing here to go, possibly 8 laps still remaining in this one. As Drace drifts that McLaren around, Fabian Barley tries to get through on Henry Cynic. Even still, these two are fighting over a top 10 position in the championship, but realistically, Barley probably needs to win to have any chance of getting himself into the playoff race, and that is looking unlikely from this particular position right now. All of these guys are definitely in contention for the victory though. It's just a case of getting past Philip Drace, and that's proving very difficult at the moment.
yeah, driving the widest McLaren of all time is Philip Drace. Is now you might see another move coming up now from Christian Michael, but no, not quite able to. But Yovsky wants that position back, which he had already taken once and then lost in his little tangle with Drace. But still, nothing brewing for now. They're going to be running nose to tail for all the rest of this race, you have to feel, and it's the closer that we get to the end of it. As now, is that Michael letting Yovsky through?
Looks like it. Looks like he just pulled wide there to let Yovsky through and give him a go at getting past Philip Drace, because he certainly got a bit further in that task than Mikel has managed in the last couple of moments. So, what can the two-time GT Pro champion do? 12 race wins in rFactor's 2 official GT competition at the highest level, being GT Pro and GT Challenge. Looking to add a 13th if he could possibly get there, and this is the first step in doing so, although not able to just yet. He's in third, and let's not forget he is going to be losing a couple of points to Philip Drace by the looks of things in this particular race. That would tie them up. However, I think Yovsky's won 3 races this season, if my memory serves me correctly. It might be 4, but he's certainly won more than Philip Drace has. So he would win that tiebreaker, and so this pulling wide that we're about to see here was worth €100 for Yovsky.
Yeah, I think Yovsky's got a new best friend in Christian Michael there, as you say, making up that €100, and now gets a chance to get past Philip Drace as well for a bit more glory in this race. But that was very, very twitchy there from Yovsky. He got a wheel on the grass, and back end of the car said no. Just about held on to it for the time being, but it will give Drace at least a very short moment of respite before Yovsky is right back on his tail again, trying to get past, trying to find a way through and up into P2. And the closer we get to the end of this race, it's just the closer Yovsky's running, the closer we get to the end of the race, you have to feel Adam Baldwin is very, very safe out front now. 3.2 seconds the lead between Drace and Baldwin, so unless Baldwin's been really badly looking after his tyres and they completely die by the end of the race, I think he's going to be pretty safe with only 8 minutes left on the clock. But it will all depend on how quickly Yovsky can dispatch of Philip Drace and how quickly he can catch him afterwards, as he's going around the outside later on the brakes. But Philip Drace outbraked himself a little bit. Yovsky now on the outside line. If he can hold on there, he's going to have the inside for the next corner again. Drace pushing him onto the grass on the inside though, but Yoski's not giving up that easily, still holding the inside line. A little bit more contact between the two as Yoski's turn now to try and run Grace out of road, but leaves him the room. And as we head out into the next series of corners, Yoski finally gets through on Drace, but Drace still got room if he needs to come back up the inside, but no, for now, he settles back in behind, and after so much battling for so long, Yoski gets the move done.
He does indeed, and finally, Christian Mikel has got a chance to do so as well, but he wasn't able to follow Johan Yoski through. He might be able to take notes and you know, just try and repeat the move, but obviously Drace would be expecting it at that point, so it's difficult to know what to do in that situation for him. You can definitely see though that he was the cork in the bottle there, and the amount of pace that Yoski has got is taking chunks of time out of Adam Baldwin here, and there's still time for him to get another race win. Go 2 for 2 here tonight. Down the inside goes Mikel. Oh my goodness, that was a dive, and he's made it work in the end. Philip Drace, I'm afraid, has lost second place in this championship. He looks like he's going to finish third in the championship, fourth on the day, and that's still a very good position for him, because it's looking for all intents and purposes that he is going to be a GT Pro driver in Season 5 as well. Let's take a look at some of those moves. Absolutely brilliant from Yoski, I have to say. Set up for corner after corner, for lap after lap this has been setting up, and finally he's been able to pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just almost baited Philip Drace into outbraking himself a little bit into the first corner, give himself a lovely run on the outside for the remaining corners, and then just held on side by side for as long as he could. Didn't give up when he was forced out wide. And while all this was going on, it looks like Cam Rogers has been getting involved in little battles of his own into the first corner as he pulls up on the inside of the Arms Racing car. Looking like a pretty done deal there. No, maybe not. Looked a little bit like he was going to end up with a battle on the outside, but no, holds onto it for now. And then Christian Mikel, well, after all of the tough fighting we've seen going on, this move looked a little bit too easy for Christian Mikel, just diving up the inside. Thank you very much, Mr. Drace, I will have your position.
That was the most decisive move we've seen so far from the championship leader, so that's why he was able to get it done. Just over 2 seconds is the gap now to Adam Baldwin, and just losing 2 positions here would cost him 7 points, and that might be crucial. It just might be. Turkka Hakkinen, the man on your screen right now, is who we are focusing on. I feel like he has really run his tyres to the limit here in this race. The way that car's moving about, Jimmy Nisula is applying all kinds of pressure to him. Going into the right-hander, you can see Luca Martino's just up in front of Hakkinen. He can see 3 points just up in front. Varkingi is too far gone at this point. With just over 5 minutes, it's going to be very tricky for him to get these 3 positions, but you never know what's going to happen out front. And so he's got to keep pushing here, Hakkinen. He's got to keep Jimmy Nisula behind him as well at this point, just to try and hold on to some kind of hope here in this race that he might be able to just get into that top 5 again. Here we go into the first chicane, but it looks like it's all over for him really. Nisula, it's the furthest alongside he's ever been going into turn 2, but he might not have it done still, because it turns to the inside for 3 and 4, and Turkka Hakkinen is going to have it. Nisula looked like he got onto the grass there and got a big slide on, but I think he just about recovered. As speaking of recoveries, Erhan Yoski from 9th on the grid, recovering to the very front again. Adam Baldwin has been pushing so hard throughout this race. Erhan Yoski has turned on the afterburners right when it matters, and with 3 laps to go, the McLaren is coming further and further into the Macedonian's view, and all of a sudden we have a race on for the win.
Yeah, that was crucial that Yoski got past Drace when he did, because you can see just how quickly he's brought that gap down now, almost just a second already, in what has basically been a lap and a half. So it's going to be an absolute tooth and nail fight to the finish. Adam Baldwin, who hasn't really put a foot wrong all race, managed to get himself into the lead, and quite comfortably so in the opening parts of the race, has now suddenly got some pressure to deal with. So how well has he looked after those tyres through the race? He's not had anybody to jostle around with, so he may still have a bit more rubber left on those wheels than Yoski does. With all of the battling he's had to do, 7 places made up from his starting position does put him in a little bit of a disadvantage, but that disadvantage to Erhan Yoski, I'm not sure he knows what the word disadvantage means. He's showing us once again why he's a two-time GT Pro champion and just how well he's driven this evening, winning the sprint race and now closing in on the lead of the feature race from 9th on the grid. It's going to be an incredible finish to the season as we take a look at Gianluca Scalvini engaged in a battle with, it was just Henry Sinnock and Fabian Bala, but he's managed to worm his way in there as well and get between the two of them.
He has indeed. Scalvini needs to gain a lot of points on Sinnock, I'm afraid, in this one, so it could be a little bit, it's almost certainly too little, too late, but the pressure is on out front, because if Adam Baldwin drops to 3rd, then that is going to be it. Turkka Häkkinen right now, you can see him on your screen, he's gaining 17 points in this race, currently losing 18 to Adam Baldwin in this one, and with a 10-point margin coming in, that is not enough, but losing the next couple of positions would lose him, would negate that by 7 points, if you see what I mean. So Baldwin needs to hold on to these places because it looks like Häkkinen might well move up in the next couple of moments. They go onto the straight again, and Erhan Yoski is looking to go 2 for 2 at Indianapolis, trying to win both races. Can he do it possibly? Down the inside into turn 1, it's late on the brakes. Baldwin didn't know whether to give him room or not. In the end, he slams the door shut, and so they stay single file for the moment, but has Häkkinen been able to get through on Martino? Because that would just put the pressure on that extra little bit, and it would close the margin being gained. And here is another battle going on. Scalvini gets through on Sinnock, so he is finally gaining points on his rival, but it is not going to be enough. Here comes Yoski, inside line, it's not enough.
No, and Yoski really piling the pressure onto Adam Baldwin, who's not really had to deal with any of that throughout this race, and well, just a lap, maybe 2 to go, and it's this close. Crucially, Häkkinen hasn't made it past Martino yet, is still stuck behind the Arms Racing car. So still, as it stays, Adam Baldwin will get himself promoted, but it's going to be so close for the back end of that top 5.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Häkkinen's got it. Häkkinen has got the move done on Luca Martino. So he's gained that extra point. And so far, he's only losing 17 to Baldwin. I say only 17. It's still not quite enough. If Baldwin finishes 3rd in this situation, then we have a tie. And it's all coming down to this. Christian Mikel is going to want to do it for his teammate and friend, Turkka Häkkinen, here on the final lap. Erhan Yoski's got a set of objectives of his own. One more lap in GT Challenge Season 4, and Adam Baldwin is going to do his best to hold on to this GT Pro spot. Into turn 1 they go. Yoski brakes later. He's gone out on the outside line. Inside for turn 2. He's not been able to do it. He has not been able to do it for the moment. With 30 seconds remaining in the season, he might not be able to grab this race win. Baldwin doing a fantastic job of defending. This is how Turkka Häkkinen got through on the inside line of Luca Martino. That's a lap car on the outside line, so don't worry about him. Turkka Häkkinen has indeed got that extra point, but it doesn't matter if these two can't get through on Adam Baldwin, and all of a sudden this race, this championship, these promotion spots are coming down to the very final few corners of this championship. We've had 6 rounds, 12 races here in GT Challenge for Season 4, and it's all coming down to this. Adam Baldwin is leading this race ahead of Erhan Yoski, who is desperate to get a win here. He's already had one earlier this evening. He wants another one in the main race, and Christian Mikel wants to send his teammate through to GT Pro. Here into the final 3 corners. Baldwin is going to have his work cut out here. Yoski heads to the outside line for the right-hander. Can he hold it there? He can. They make contact. Oh, Yoski goes wide. Yoski has gone wide. Michel on the outside line now. Can he get up the inside into the final corner? No, he cannot. And Adam Baldwin, what a defence that was from the McLaren driver. He might as well just have this. They go up towards the line. It's going to be a drag race, but Adam Baldwin is going to win the race, and he's going to send himself through to GT Pro in Season 5. What an incredible defence that was from the Deuces Motorsport Club driver, and he thoroughly deserves his spot in GT Pro. A fantastic race, great action, great battling between the 3 of them, and a heartbroken Turkka Häkkinen is just going to miss out. What a wonderful season and a great race to end it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's about as close as we could have hoped it would get. But for Adam Baldwin, that was great defensive driving in the last 5 minutes of the race. To go from having no pressure on you at all to all of the pressure in the world and managing to hold on to it as tight as it got between himself and Yoski. They just about managed to hold on, just about kept the race win. And Baldwin, well, you can't really say much more than that. He's now going to be a GT Pro driver in Season 5, and well deserved with the way that race has gone. Here is a replay, or in fact no it's not, this is the standings even for the end of that race. So confirmation, Adam Baldwin takes the win from Christian Mikel, who managed to zip past Yuyovski after that little bit of contact on the final lap. Philip Grace has to settle for 4th after being the cork in the bottle for so long, and Krupi with a great drive finishing in P5. Remy Delorme just managed to hold on ahead of Gianluca Scalvini, who was on a late charge, getting past Henry Sinnick. And Zoltan Varkanyi also getting past Fabian Boller towards the end, who started to lose some positions and rounds out the top 10. Here is the replay then of what was going on with Yovski bump drafting all the way through and then diving across to the outside. But Baldwin, just a little bit of contact, forcing Yovski onto the grass, and Baldwin just held on. And we thought for a moment that we may have seen Christian Mikel stealing the race win away, but just about managing to hold on to it. Here's the back 10 then. Giuseppe Pastore manages to finish in P11 ahead of a very impressive finish for Aaron Cam Roger up in P12. Ahead of the two, Turkka Hakkinen and Jumi Nisula, who have been battling all the way through after that first lap contact. Luca Martino in 15th rounds ahead of the other Musto GD car of Nicola Pastore. Then it's Paolo Penimpede, Andrea Bettini and the Radical of Matthias Weber in 17th, 18th and 19th, and Roman Prickbrill in 20th position. And then I think there is just 3 cars to cover, two cars to cover, one of which was a DNF. Manuel Correa at the back of the pack in 21st, and Nello Pastorino, as we saw in the satellite racing car, DNFing around about the midway point of the race. So we are just waiting now to see the final standings. The maths are being done in the background. Ruben's got his calculator out for us, and he's going to be drawing all of them up, as you can see in the chat there. Showing the standings in a moment. But yeah, what a season we've had then, Ewan, and what a race to finish on.
It was fantastic. You could say that Adam Baldwin got a little bit lucky with Turkka Hakkinen having those issues. He got a little bit lucky to be in GT Pro, and I would have agreed with you before the last 5 minutes happened, and then his defence at the end makes him thoroughly deserving of that spot in GT Pro next season. He's going to be going along with Christian Mikel, who's taken the title. He's going to be going with also Erhan Yovski, who finishes 2nd, Philip Drace in 3rd, Jumi Nisula in 4th, and Adam Baldwin overhauls Turkka Hakkinen right at the end to get into GT Pro by 7 points in the end. And what a fantastic result that is for everybody at Juice's Motorsport Club as well. See Nick Newcomb in there, team manager, and very one of the most friendly people in sim racing, I've got to say. Celebrating in the YouTube chat at the moment, and congrats to him and the whole team in the end. Erhan Yovski just misses out, but on the race win there that he could have had. He could have gone for the double here at Indianapolis, but wasn't able to in the end. He's got enough race wins to his name, to be fair, so he'll be heading into GT Pro to maybe get some more in Season 5, and I wouldn't bet against him doing that whatsoever. Unfortunately, the battle for the top 10 places wasn't quite as close as we were expecting it in the end. Sinnick and Delorme had that one covered pretty much from the when that race started, but just a word on Christian Michel really, as we're waiting for the final standings to come up here, and we're going to sign off very shortly as well, but once we've seen those. But first a word on Christian Mikel, because it's been a fantastic season from him. He's dominated really, he's been up there every single round, and he's taken this title. It wasn't really close in the end. He's one to watch in GT Pro next season, there's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think all of the drivers that we've got in the top 5 are definitely going to be ones to watch going into GT Pro Season 5 in the new year. Especially, as you say, Christian Mikel and Yuyovski going back to his old hunting ground as well. It's going to be a great Season 5. And, of course, that's for GT Pro. But GT Challenge is going to be just as close, you have to feel. But we've still got a promotion race to go before then as well, which will be coming up in the new year, also ahead of the new season. No, we don't know any more about it yet than anybody else, but we're definitely looking forward to it. That much we can confirm. With, of course, the positions 6 to 10 and the back 5 from GT Pro. But here are the confirmed standings then. Christian Mikel confirmed the champion, and Yuyovski stealing away second position from Philip Drace at the end, who does hold on to P3 and takes away the final extra bonus money of that €100. Jimmy Nisula settling for P4, and confirmation Adam Baldwin sneaks into the auto promotion spots with the race win and confirms himself as a GT Pro driver just ahead of Turkka Häkkinen. And then you see the drivers going into the promotion relegation race. Turkka Häkkinen so close to being an auto promotion, but will have to fight for his position in that race, finishing P6 in the championship ahead of Zoltan Varkanyi, Matej Krupi, Remy Delorme, and Henry Sinek, who will be in the promotion relegation race. I've seen Remy Delorme saying just how much fun it's been to drive as well, but has secured a place in the promotion relegation race, so isn't quite done yet.
No, not for him, and it was kind of difficult to keep tags on Paul August-Lahn in the end, who was actually racing in the second split. Nearly got himself into the playoff race there, missed out by 4 points behind Henry Sinek, so it was much closer than we thought, but it's very difficult to keep tabs on that when you're watching one race and one of the drivers is in another. As you can see, the information on the right hand side of your screen right now has meant that Paul August-Lahn was in that situation. But as we've just seen those standings, the top 5 drivers, so Mikel, Drace, Nisula, Yuyovski and Baldwin, straight to GT Pro Season 5. However, Häkkinen, also Varkanyi, Krupi, Delorme and Sinek are all going to have to go into the playoff race with positions 21 to 25 in GT Pro from Season 4. So that's going to make up that race. That will be happening in the new year, and I think it's going to be broadcasted on rFactor Live Twitch and also Traction GG's YouTube as well. So we look forward to that greatly. But just before we sign off, one final word from you, Paul, on what's been a fantastic season. I know I've enjoyed it, and I hope people at home have as well. But it's been thoroughly entertaining.
Absolutely, it's been my first season covering the GT Challenge, and it's been great to get involved and see the races and just how close the championship came down to at the end. It led to a thrilling season, and I'm going to miss it between now and when the Season 5 begins.
Yeah, absolutely, as we all are. Once again, thanks to everybody who's tuned in tonight, and you certainly have seen something special. It's been a fantastic race, and a fitting way to end such a season. This has been GT Challenge Season 4. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Paul Buckley, and Ruben Carrera-Alvarez has been behind the cameras all season long. And until next year, when GT Pro and GT Challenge will kick off for Season 5, it's goodbye for now.